2022 was overall a very lukewarm year for movies with just a few outliers, one of which being Prey. I had always been a big fan of the Predator franchise, but time after time I left disappointed with its recent releases, which is why I kept my expectations low for Prey. Saw it took place in 1719, I was a bit skeptical. A lot of installments in long-running franchises try to make changes for the sake of being different and end up ruining what came before them. I'm looking at you, The Rise of Skywalker. Changes made for this film, however, just make it feel refreshing, like putting a focus on the characters being killed, the prey, rather than the predator. Also, the predator getting nerfed is something I see criticized by a lot of longtime fans, and it really just doesn't make sense. The old predator was way too overpowered for even the movies set in modern times, and are usually killed in dumb ways. So setting it back in time would just fuck everything up. So the change was a needed one. Even the way they nerfed it legitimately makes sense. The movie starts out pretty slow, but this non-intensive beginning is all for the setup and developing characters. Speaking of characters, they're pretty good, especially for a Predator movie. Previous iterations have struggled in that department, including the original, which just had buff guys with big guns fighting a powerful alien. The plot scheme, I think, also goes very well with keeping everything engaging, making us care about the protagonist and sets up the Predator in a natural way, actually integrating him into a already existing plot rather than making him the plot. Sort of contradicting that though, the Predator's action scenes are the best part of this movie and makes it a whole lot better. It's similar to the Darth Vader effect in the original Star Wars trilogy. Less is more. With each time the Predator becomes a focus, it's a huge presence and completely dominates the scene. Another thing to note is the finale, and for the entire third act, all of it is amazing. It uses all the payoff from the slow start, has an amazing score, and the way of killing the Predator was really smart. There were some moments near the end that I thought were sort of boring, not gonna spoil anything, if you watch the movie you probably know, but those scenes weren't bad enough to lose me. In fact, this movie is actually extremely rewatchable. The runtime flies by and the movie is very concise with a greatly packaged production. One last thing I want to say is how I'd love if Predator movies became period pieces like this one, because the series has and would be very stale without something to spice it up. With all that being said, Prey isn't all sunshine and rainbows. There are some gripes I have with it. One of the biggest offenders is the lack of depth to the world building. The tight-knit story confines the limits that could have easily been achieved. For example, I would have loved more importance to be put on the conflict with the French and the Comanche, but instead the movie ends up not really exploring it and only uses the conflict to move the story forward. It's not a huge deal, but it is disappointing and left me feeling like there was something missing. Another little thing that annoyed me was how the build-up to the Predator changes intensity every time a bit of it is shown. Instead of being a constant looming threat, it just kinda disappears before coming up again sporadically. This is most likely a result of the Predator being the side focus at first, with the writers not really having any reference to base this part off of. Once the Predator is shown in full though, it goes back to normal and actually has a really good consistency to it. Back to the positives, the visuals in this movie are great, especially the gore. The kills are also for the most part just as good. I do have some minor issues with the lighting in some scenes, looking plain and uninteresting after being used monotonously, but it's not a huge issue and really just a nitpick. From a movie standpoint, Prey is by far the best Predator movie. It has better pacing, writing, characters, visuals, and it's not even close. From the standpoint of a Predator movie, however, it's more up for debate. I'd personally go with Prey, but it's also a not very straightforward comparison because this isn't a Predator movie. It isn't about the Predator, and for that, I think it succeeds. I'd give it a very respectable 9 out of 10. Hope you enjoyed the video. It's more of a filler project for a massive one coming up. And since I actually want to upload in November, I made this. If you want a hint at what that project is, here you go. Also, join the Discord. It's linked down below. You can find video updates and talk to other community members in there. As always, have a wonderful day.